A person in a tan ranger hat and gray uniform shirt stands at a podium indoors. A banner with a feather design and partial text reading U.S. is visible behind them.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Tent of Many Voices. My name is Erin. I'm one of the rangers traveling with this exhibit. We're a traveling exhibit with National Park Service as well as many other multiple agencies that have sponsored us traveling along the Lewis and Clark Trail 200 years in the future. Everywhere we stop in various cities or towns, or big towns like this one, and we invite presenters to our Tent of Many Voices to share their voice, their perspective of Lewis and Clark, or something related. And with us at this hour are Samuel So and Merril Sandoval, who are code talkers with the Navajo Nation, and they did a lot, they're going to tell you a lot of what they did for World War II in 1942 to 45. So let's all welcome these two gentlemen.
Two people in yellow jackets and red headpieces stand on a small stage. Behind them is a dark banner displaying text mentioning various U.S. government departments. A person in blue sits in the foreground.
Good afternoon. My name is Merril Sandoval, just like she said, and I'm from right at the present time I live in Arizona, a place named Tuba City. It's between Flagstaff, Arizona, and Lake Powell, Page, Arizona, just east of Grand Canyon. And we're here to present a little bit about what we did. I know it'll take a long time to tell quite a bit of the co-talkers, but it's our duty. If we're requested from all over the country, even across the ocean, we try to do our best to explain why, what for the whys and who's and where and all that. People still, they read about us and they heard about us, so we try to, Sam and I are going to explain a little bit about what we did as best as we can. And today, Sam is here with his wife, and I'm here with my wife. Could you stand there? Her name is Lewis Sandoval.
A group of people sit closely together inside what appears to be a tent. Several wear blue shirts and light-colored clothing. The overhead canvas and support structure are visible above them.
July 27th, we'll be married for 54 years. And also, the ones that are responsible from Phoenix, Arizona, Scottsdale, Arizona, is our coordinator, Mrs. Town, Miss Town. She's the one that's up on the top of it. Thank you. I'll do a little administration, how we used our code. We're all Navajo Indians, and we went to school in several, most of one that participated in this program for the United States Marine Corps. They were selected from at least 7 or 8 boarding schools on the reservation. And that we do have a big reservation, as a lot of you probably know. Our reservation covers part of Arizona, part of Utah, and part of New Mexico. And the reservation alone, they figure it's about the size of West Virginia. And our population is 250,000 and more. And we were picked from 1942 and all the way up to 1946 to use our language. And we didn't know that we were going to use our language until we got through with our boot camp in San Diego, California. Just like any other Marine, we volunteered. I volunteered when I was 17 years old. That was 1943. And we went through our regular training as a Marine, and that's the way we figured we were. We're just going to be fighting, and we're going to help. We're going to go against the Japanese and help out. But when we got to further training, after boot camp, rifles, school, we went to another camp, Camp Pendleton. That's where we found out. When we got there, there was a whole bunch of Navajos there that went ahead of us in a classroom. What they were doing, they were decoding our common language, the Navajo language they use every day. They were decoding it, and they made their own alphabet. It's not right.
Secret code.
You're right there. You're right.
There you go.
Maybe it writes on the other side. I don't know. Anyway, there was 29.
A person wearing a yellow jacket, red headwrap with decorative elements, and multiple medals and ribbons speaks at a podium. A dark backdrop with partial text about the Army is visible behind them.
Older ones. There are older ones that were recruited or volunteered. There was 29, around 30. They used them to start the program, and they decoded the language, in our alphabet and all the other general terms. And the reason was that we never had a Navajo code dictionary on the reservation. So on top of that, we didn't know anything in any word about military, because we have to learn all that. And I'll show you how we did. We changed our alphabet from A to Z, and comprised of mainly animals or whatever, mostly animals from A to Z. Like for A, be like an ant, A-N-T, and B would be bear, C would be cat, D would be dog, on down the line. And so the other code that they were using in the other military service, they have what they call American Morse code. And that was commonly used in all the other military service, and the Japanese were decoding them so much. They were pretty expert on decoding messages. And the one that we had made was like this: A-N-T-B-A-R-K-A-T, compared to the other ones like Abel, Baker, Charlie, and all that. Some of you probably veterans remember that in communications in the Army or in the Air Force or all the others, the Navy. And this was the Navajo code. Is American Morse code. So there was a difference whether we started off with that, and any messages that we had, and say in combat, you say we got an order. I happened to be with a major general, a just 2-star general, and a 1-star general, brigadier general, and I got a bunch of colonels in headquarters, signal company. And that's how we were separated. And each division was about 20,000 Marines in combat. And it goes on down the line like regiments, companies, battalions.
A person in a yellow shirt and red headpiece with decorative elements stands at a microphone, gesturing with one hand. They wear multiple medals and ribbons on their chest. Behind them is a dark banner with partial text visible.
Down to the front line, and they placed us all the way down because the messages that had to go down, or orders had to go down, directives had to go down, requests coming back, or messages and all that. So, say, any message like in combat, say, we have an order from the front line or request that it's getting rough up there, we need some help. They'd be asking for maybe naval gunfire, aerial gunfire, artillery gunfire, motor gunfire, and that was our job. We had Navajos on the command ships also out there in the sea, so they got the message, and then they respond whatever they're asking for from the ground. If they say we're asking for it, they want to bomb a certain place like a hill. In combat, your coordinates, just like a blueprint. There was always a hill. Wherever you go, there might be a hill. There's a location like that. And they usually number them or letter them. It's like Hill 1, Hill 2, or Hill 3. Give you an example. Bomb Hill 2. That's the kind of message that we get. And what they do, the commander of that, say, in the company down there, they'll give a message just on an ordinary piece of paper. Maybe the colonel or somebody give it to the Navajo code talk. He writes out it in English, just that message, because the order is going back. So he goes to the radio, and then he transmit it back to us in headquarters in Navajo code. And then I receive it, and I get it in Navajo code, and I translate it into English, and we print it. That's the fastest way of doing it. We don't use longhand, typewriter, or anything like that, or shorthand. And then we just give it to our officer. We translate it in English, then they got the message right away. So then it goes out to the ship, to the air. And we need some help from that Hill 2. Probably the Japanese are there, firing on the machine gun.
A person wearing a yellow jacket and red hat with glasses stands beside a whiteboard with handwritten lists of names and words. They hold a marker while gesturing toward the board during a presentation.
Or whatever, and they want that out of the way. So we transmit this. This is already coded through this alphabet. A bomb. We didn't have to spell that because it'll take a little longer to spell it. We could say bear. Oh, is an owl down here. Owl, and I forget what mom was. I think it was mouse. We can't say bear, owl, mouse, bear. There's two B's in there, so two bears. And instead of that, they gave us, the decoder gave us, the Navajos that went ahead of us, they call it an egg. It's like a chicken egg. So, and then there come the hill. Hill, instead of spelling it, which take a little time, we go back to the alphabet. H was a horse. So we got this horse now. But there's another word there. I-L-L. You all know what ill is. A sick person or a sick horse or whatever. So we name it sick horse. Backwards. And this was more common. We just say naki, which means two. So the message is, in Navajo, egg aziyeji. And horse in Navajo is feet, and this is just common, naki, which means two. So ayeji, heat that's naki. That was how fast it was. And our Navajo people on the reservation, they could hear us talking Navajo if they could hear us, but they wouldn't know what make heads or tails of it. It was all mixed up like that. That's how the code. There's a lot of other words that we use against the Japanese, and of course the Japanese were there. They get out our frequency. and they're real smart. Probably, they were trained over there or the United States, and they're real smart, expert on decoding messages like this code, naval code or Army code or Morse code that was commonly used. But we know they're listening to us because they tried to jam us. They play an old record or something, make a lot of noise, or they do scratching noise to interrupt.
A person in a yellow shirt and red headpiece with gold decorations stands at a microphone, wearing glasses and multiple medals and ribbons on their chest. They hold a microphone while speaking, with a dark banner visible behind them.
Us, but they never did. We knew each other so much. We trained together. We knew each other's voices real good, and we knew the code real good, and that was all memorized. The messages went through. And there's a lot of other ways they tried to do it. Like I explained here about Hill 2. Say our troops are on Hill 1, and the Japanese are on Hill 2, in that area. Maybe they fired on our troops on Hill 1. That's why we ask for support. And they'll come on the air while we're doing that. They figure that somehow they know if there's a plane going over or something like that, and they try to throw us off somehow in English. And we knew better. They were not our commanding officers that gave us the message. So everything was done in the Navajo coded language, and they tried to throw us off on some reports that we had, and we knew that was them. But unless we got another message from our commanding officer, even if there happened to another message behind it, it had to be done by a Navajo code talker, not in English again from there. So what they try to do is divert us from one hill to the other and create a friendly fire. And they couldn't succeed on that. And there's a lot of things that happened that we could talk about it all day, but that's how we start using. There was other words, and we never had any Navajo words for military planes, like torpedo bomber or observation plane or fighter planes. The same way with ships. And the ships, we never had a Navajo word for ships, all kinds, like submarine, battleships, cruisers, destroyers, and all that. Then we had no language for rank, like a general or colonel or sergeants, all the way down the line. And we had no words for outfits, like regiment or battalion or company. Those we had to. For planes, we use birds. We use birds for planes. And we use the ships. We use fish for ships. But in our...
A person wearing a yellow shirt and red headpiece with decorative elements speaks at a microphone. They wear multiple medals and ribbons on their chest. The background shows a dark panel with partial text visible.
Language, we had a rough time on it, because we don't have all kinds of birds like these bird watchers know. Maybe the only thing we knew was like crows and owls, and that's it. They're pretty prominent all over. Same way with ships. We don't have lakes out there. We don't have rivers or anything. We didn't know any name for fish. We had to learn that. Like for a submarine, because there was no Navajo language, we called it iron fish, because that's made of iron and goes underwater. And battleship, we don't have no word Navajo. They call it bird carrier. City there, yeah. See, birds are up there, so they carry the birds, that. And the same way with planes, like an owl. Like an observation plane, we had a lot of observation planes that fly over all the time. they spot things. We call that an owl because you know how an owl is, they're always observing all that. So that's how that language was decoded, and it worked real good. Our own people wouldn't even know. Well, nobody went to that Navajo code school, wouldn't know, and hardly any mistakes. If we did make mistakes, nobody would know it, just us. Not even the general would know it. But they were corrected real fast, you know. So that's how we operated. There was supposed to be a Navajo sergeant with us. He was supposed to monitor us. But he didn't give a darn, you know. Combat, he doesn't. Go ahead, language. Anyway, that's part of the language that we're going to go more and more on that, demonstration on that. And how it started was through a Anglo fellow. At the time, he was working in Los Angeles as an engineer, civil engineer. And years back, he was raised on a Navajo reservation. He was the son of a missionary. And he learned that language when he was a little boy. I'm playing with the Navajo kids. And he thought about it because they found out that he heard that there was too much code being deciphered, decoded, which was true. They knew, the Japanese knew where we were going, when we were going, how many of us are going, all of that ahead of time. On top of that, Tokyo Rose is coming to trying to follow us up, and otherwise, you know. Anyway.
A person wearing a yellow shirt and a red headpiece with decorative elements stands at a microphone, hand raised to their face. They are wearing multiple medals and ribbons on their chest. The background shows a dark panel with partial text visible.
The way she wanted to. That's how this code was used, and he suggested it to the Marine Corps in San Diego. And so it took quite a while for them to decide. They had a demonstration, some Navajos over here, and the regular Morse code users, and they gave them messages, identical messages, sent it. And the receiver over there, and the two Navajos over here, and then the other two that, not Navajos, but they operated the other form. So they send a message. The Navajo message went through about 2 minutes. And over here, it took about 15, 20 minutes. It's how fast it was, too. So a lot of lives were saved on that. Because decoding, they had the little machine with buttons like numbers and letters. They had to decode it, send it over, air, and then the other side they have another machine, then they decode it. Took time, so, and that's where our language came in real fast. So I think a lot of times that they really help. I think being a speed and hardly any mistake. My last operation was Iwo Jima. You probably heard of it, Iwo Jima. That island had to be taken, and it cost us a lot of casualties. Well, that's another thing that my job was from headquarters. Every day I had to transmit casualties, killed in action, wounded in action, missing in action. All day fighting, there's a lot of casualties, and we transmitted to a board ship where there were some more commanders, high-ranking generals and admirals, and there's some Navajos up there. They got the message and relayed it to them. And then in the morning, the same way, all night fighting. Of course, we got a lot of casualties again. They transmit that. They transmit to Pearl Harbor, which was our general headquarters. And from Pearl Harbor, they transmitted to the president. At that time was Franklin D. Roosevelt. So the president knew what was going on that day. And that's about what I want to tell you. I have more to tell, but I'm going to let Sam take over at this time.
Yeah. A person in a yellow jacket and red and white headpiece stands on a stage, speaking to an audience. Behind them is a dark banner with white text mentioning U.S. Forest Service and Department of Agriculture.
Elevation. They don't write on that side, I don't think.
Can this be erased?
Sure. Yeah. Somehow. Oh, they need a rag.
Good afternoon. I see we made a full house again. And that's good. This shows me that there are a lot of people that are very patriotic to us here. Let me tell you, when
A person wearing a bright yellow jacket and a red and gold headpiece stands on a stage, gesturing while speaking. Behind them is a dark banner with partially visible text.
I went in 1943, March 13. When I went in, I didn't even know what I was getting into. I didn't know whether I was coming or going. Just completely off the reservation. And but I learned. Otherwise, I wouldn't be a code talker. I had to know how to speak Navajo language fluently and understand it. On top of that, I have to know how to speak English, read, write with good grammars. Otherwise, if you don't have the two, you can't become a code talker. They won't let you. But I'll tell you something. What Major Connors of the communication officer said. He was the one that was with 5th Marine Division. And he said, if it were not for the Navajo code talkers, the Marines would have never taken Iwo Jima. If you doubt me, ask Major Connors. Now, I'll tell you about the flag raising on Mount Suribachi.
A person in a yellow jacket and red headpiece writes on a whiteboard with a blue marker. The board reads Mount Suribachi is secured with an underline.
On February 23rd, just before noon, we were all dug in a foxhole. All of a sudden, this message came in on the radio. I just only caught from this part on, but I heard this one, but I wrote this one down on a pad. And every time I received a message on a pad, the Marines right around me, they always, now and then they look at us. And then when we receive the message and write it down, they always say, "What's up, Chief?" You know, I used to resent being called Chief. I don't know, it's just guys, I think about it, pushing you down there. But later on, I found out that they were giving me a promotion. Then I accepted. And when I wrote this down, and the message in my ears, it came in the English interpretation. This one, Mount Suribachi is secured by the Marines. But it said, "Nas onse Ntsai Taji." Betra means space. If you watch the movie on Wind Talker, those guys are talking to each other. They keep saying betra, betra. That means space, space, space. Otherwise, if there's no space, everything will be all together. And when I received it, this one, the M is for mouse.
A person in a yellow shirt and a red beaded cap writes on a whiteboard. Text visible on the board includes the word cured in blue handwriting. Behind them is a dark banner with partial text reading U.S. Army.
And then it says mouse, a capital letter is big. So this one will be big. Big mouse. That's for M, capital M, and a T is for turkey. And then space. And then this one. We don't have any of these verbs like this. It comes afterward, not before what it describes. So this is the only one I heard. This letter here stands for sheep. E like that. It says big mouse, turkey, space, sheep's eye is cured. See this one? Here's the word cured. This one is for eye, and this one is for sheep. And that's the sort of became the famous one. Even our own people always ask us about that. He says, what was that phrase that you said about the flag being raised on top of Mount Suribachi? So we say this one to them. That's the one I received, and as soon as I wrote it up, and then they asked the Marines, asked me, what's up? So all I did was point up to the top of the mountain, and they look over there, and they just jump out and start yelling and dancing there. Those guys are kind of nutty. They forgot Japanese bullets were still flying around there.
A person wearing a red and gold headpiece, yellow shirt with a red shield patch, and multiple beaded necklaces stands beside a whiteboard, gesturing while speaking. They wear glasses and appear to be giving a presentation indoors.
And then the sergeant says, just bark at us and said, get back in your foxhole there. So they just all jump back in there. I don't know if anybody got hit or not there, but I also jumped out in there too. Anyway, this is one of them. We receive it, decode it in our head, and write it down in English like this. And then write it down and either give it to our runner or our sergeant or the others there. And another one that a number of them I was involved in it, like ordering tanks, flamethrower, or dive bombers to strafe or bomb. By the way, dive bombers is called Guinea. Guinea means chicken hawk. And then also I'll give you the code word for America. Nihima. It means our mother. That's the code word for America or USA. And then another incident that we also were directly involved was that yesterday I explained that running across the Death Valley. And that Death Valley, when we came back to hill number 368, he told us to report. So my buddy that I ran across with, he went in the report, and the sergeant pulled us over to the side. And boy, he really chewed us up and down there. Haven't you learned how to take orders yet? And said, well, we were trying to help. That was not your order. Your order was to locate the machine gun nest and report back. Oh, he kept chewing us up on us. And then I thought he was going to give us 100 push-ups there. But he never did. Anyway.
A person wearing a red and gold headpiece, yellow shirt with beaded vest and military insignia stands in front of a whiteboard with handwritten text. They are speaking indoors.
One of the code talkers there sent a message for artillery, rocket fire, and motor, all at the same time on those machine gun nests. And then it only took less than 5 minutes before all those artillery fires, rockets, and motor shells start coming in on the machine gun nest. They just completely pulverized that area. So when I said less than 5 minutes, that means to send a coded message and then start firing in less than 5 minutes. That's how quick it was. Anyway, when that thing starts exploding, boy, it's deafening your ears. And then when they stopped firing, they ordered the Marines across, and they just walked across, no fires at all. And afterward, some of the Marines said, I didn't think about it. I never thought it. I was just taking orders. Hey, you guys, don't you understand what they did to us? I said, what? They sent you guys out there for the Japanese machine gun target. And we were out there being used as a target to locate the machine gun nest. Why they pick us to do that is beyond me. They could have done it to the same Marines that were trying to cross there. But us, they pull us out of the front line and they march us over there. And boy, I tell you, now I really resent it. If they're going to punish me, why don't they punish the other guys, not me? Anyway, that's when that was used again. And also, my own outfit.
A person in a yellow shirt and red headpiece with gold embroidery stands before a whiteboard, holding a marker. They wear glasses, multiple beaded necklaces, and military medals on their chest.
The recon company, they sent them out to Iwo Jima Island 3 days before the invasion. Just before dawn, they were out there on the beach looking for obstacles. I never knew why demolition experts were included in the recon company. And that's what they were. Mostly the demolition experts went into the submarine and they went ahead. And then it's a good thing they didn't blow up anything because there was no obstacles. They came back and they told us, we found out we were going to hit Iwo Jima. And then here's the map. They showed us the map. And I took a look at it and I found out it was only about 7 miles long. The lengthwise, the widest part was about 3 miles. And then I went on top of the deck of the ship we're moving forward with. I looked to the right and I looked to the left. Oh my gosh, there's all kinds of ships, battleships going forward. And right there I said, with all that help, if we get on top of that island, we'll all sink it. In less than a day. But I found out that Iwo Jima Island was really fortified. They have blockhouses, they have underground tunnels. Oh man, it was really a fortress. When we move forward and we get pinned down by the machine guns, we can't move forward. So they have to call in flamethrower for help. We lay behind some of the boulders and stuff like that, and the flamethrower finally calls in, and he starts putting the flames on them. You can hear the Japanese screaming, some of them running. And you know what? I was very happy that they were on our side. If it's on the other side, we would have really gotten the hot foot too. Even when they ask for support with a tank,
A person wearing glasses, a red headpiece with decorative elements, a gold shirt, and a beaded necklace stands in front of a whiteboard during what appears to be an indoor presentation or educational setting.
when the tank comes in, they start blasting away direct right at them, and you go behind it. While they put their heads down, we move forward. And that's another help, that you have your own team with you. When the dive bomber comes in, they start diving it and then dropping bombs and strafing it. You almost get up and start clapping. Thank you, air boys, for helping. Boy, that was some experience I've lived through there. And up to this day, what did I do? And I realized that it is worth fighting for America and the freedom that it has for us. And I'll be glad to do it again if they need me. And I'll also like to thank all the American people. Finally, they're beginning to know what we did in the Second World War. And boy, I sort of bask in glory now. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, Private First Class Samuel So and Corporal Merril Sandoval.
An older person wearing glasses and a dark blue shirt stands beside a younger person in a striped shirt at what appears to be an indoor venue with beige curtains in the background.
Thank you very much. My name is Ronnie Town, and as Merril mentioned earlier, I'm a special events coordinator for the Navajo Code Talkers. My involvement began with my father, who was an instructor based in Camp Elliott, which is now Camp Pendleton. This is the place where most of the Code Talkers were sent because there was a special school there called the Navajo Communications School. This is where they learned the code, and it was strictly done by memorization. There were about 3 waves of Code Talkers sent over. The first began with a group of 29, which created the code. They used the Navajo language and the American alphabet and military method of code, combining the 3. And
A person wearing a white short-sleeved shirt with a colorful floral pattern holds a microphone while speaking. They stand indoors with beige curtains and a piano visible in the background.
that's how they came up with the Navajo code. There are about 13 Native American tribes across the nation that were used as code talkers during World War II. And from the research that I've done, it looks like the military went straight down the United States, and everybody west of a certain line went to the Pacific. Everybody east of a certain line went to Europe. American Natives have been fighting for the United States as far back as long before Lewis and Clark. Our basic, you will notice among most tribes, our basic understanding of human nature is to assist rather than to attack. We were not always met with gratitude and friendship, but our first effort was always to befriend because it was another human life. We have always defended Mother Earth, and when it is threatened at any point in time, you will see most Native Americans come up to defend firsthand. Out of the 3 groups that were sent over, the 29 were sent first. The second wave was probably the largest. They were sent from 1942 to 1944, recruited, and they were the ones who saw battle. These gentlemen were part of that group. The last group was recruited from 1945 to 46, most of which did not see battle. They were trained in the code. They were given basic military training, but they never actually went overseas because by then the war had ended. It has been my great fortune to receive a history lesson, a very fast history lesson, because my father, as most of these gentlemen were told, never said anything about what they were involved in. We all knew they were military men, military veterans in World War II, but they had never said that they were involved in such a secret military mission. I did not learn about my father's involvement until 3 years before he received his silver medal. The 5 gentlemen that you saw on national TV receiving the gold medal from the president were the last 5 remaining of the original 29. Since then, we have lost one of those gentlemen. So there are only 4 of that original 29 group still alive. There were overall in the 4 years that they were recruited, about 450 men. The Navajo Code Talker Memorial Foundation took a census just recently, this past October, and they were able to locate
A person with gray and dark hair wearing a white short-sleeved shirt with a colorful floral pattern holds a microphone to their mouth while speaking. Beige curtains hang in the background.
about 325 of those 450 men, and they are still, as far as we know, still residing within the states of Arizona, New Mexico, and Utah. And I believe we even found one in California and also one in Oklahoma. It has been our deep honor and pleasure to be here in Montana. It is my first trip here, and I'm ready to move to Montana now. We thank you so much for the invitation and for attending. I will take these gentlemen in the back. We do have some of our books available for your purchase, and they will be happy to autograph that. We also have a photo of the largest group that I've ever worked with. There are 15 code talkers who attended the Santa Fe Indian Market in 2001. These 2 gentlemen were involved in that event, and they are also in that photo. And so they will be happy to talk to you and shake your hand and take whatever greeting you have. And Sam, of course, is not done.
A person wearing a white t-shirt with colorful floral embroidery sits at a table with papers and a microphone, speaking indoors. A wooden frame and dark panel are visible in the background.
13 code talkers, KIA.
There were 13 code talkers missing in action, or killed in action, that never returned back. So, again, thank you so much, and God bless America, and God bless you. Thank you.
Oh,
Thank you so much for sharing your story with us.